Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Hermitcraft. We are here at the witch farm, which has some lighting bugs on the side of that block and part of the top missing because I'm in the process of dismantling this thing. I made a giant derp in the past. I talked about it then, I'll talk about it again, but I'm recording this episode right after I made the last. If you didn't see the last episode, it was our 100th episode on this season, which makes this the 101st, and we did a tour of the lesser known places on the server. And because I've been flying around, my elytra is very worn down and I forgot to repair my backup elytra. So as we do a little bit of flying here in the beginning, I've got to be super duper cautious. Okay, let's get up here in the sky and let's talk about what's wrong with this farm. These blocks up here that are very high are slowing down the rates of the spawning area down below where the witches spawn. That was just me being a complete idiot and I didn't realise it until it was too late, and then I felt very unmotivated to tear out this giant elevator and rebuild the roof all the way down at this level. But that is exactly what we're going to be doing, my friends. As you can see, I put some slabs in over here, and on this side I basically rebuilt the top of this, and it turns out it was actually pretty easy to get rebuilding. So what we had before were water streams pointing to this bubble column right here in the middle. I'm not going to walk through there because I know I'm going to get caught out. I'm going to break this block and jump over the top. So below us are spawning platforms and flying machines go back and forth. They push the witches into the bubbles right here. They come up to the top and then they get funneled into the middle. Well, what we're going to do now is actually have them get funneled to the side, which I can kind of show you if I break a couple of blocks here. So now there is the water source blocks with the soul sand below, and then at the top we actually have a stream coming over the side here. So I can move about in this, but if I stop moving, you can see exactly how the witches are going to travel through this little space. So then what we're going to do is create a new elevator taking them all the way upwards. So the roof will be at this height here. As you can see, I've gone and outlined the size of the roof that we need to build outwards, so that means I can tear down the one up top once I place these blocks. But as I said a second ago, we're putting in the new water stream, and the way I did this before was I removed the water source below and then replaced it with a water bucket after I put water on top, and that was to preserve the bubbles coming all the way to the top. But this time I've realized that if I put a slab in there, we still keep the water block, and when I remove the slab, because it can be waterlogged, it should be a source block, and you can see the bubbles go up to where that was. So that has made my life a little bit easier. Now something that hasn't is this thing right here. We're going to have to modify it so it's below the height of the roof, which I think is possible, because if we look at these blocks, they could, rather than pull up, just pull backwards, and we can do that by rotating the piston. So with a modification there, this whole thing's going to get filled in, and I want to show you how this bit here is going to work. You can see the water stream is coming out the side. We've had to drop down a little bit. Of course, the roof will come over the top here and not interfere with the witches. And then in the middle here, we're going to have to put in some glass panes just here on the sides like that, which I'll explain in a second, and water down here. So the witches will get pushed into the ice and move across as they nudge each other in and go up the middle here, which is fantastic. Anyway, we need a few more blocks just on this side to lock them in, and of course I'll finish building this. This next bit's kind of a little bit tricky to explain. So imagine that this is filled in all directions. We need to leave an open gap here for the witches to come up, and then somewhere up there, up in the sky, we're going to have blocks across which will stop the sunlight from going down the tunnel. But what will happen is sunlight from outside will creep in to any gap, and of course we're going to open it up with some glass like this eventually. So it means that the bottom 15 blocks of this need to be built up with slabs. So when the light does creep inside of here, it slowly fades as it goes downwards. Now that would be entirely different if I left the skylight open, because then the skylight would drop at level 15 all the way down to the bottom. In fact, it doesn't need to be 15 blocks because we don't want it interfering with the witch farm, and as you can see there's 5 blocks between it and the edge, so we actually only need to go up by about 10 or 11 blocks. Okay then, our witch elevator comes all the way up here to this ridiculous height, 218, and as you can see we've got some blocks up here. We actually only need the one in the middle, I think. Maybe we need them on the side as well. Anyway, I'm starting to dismantle this little bit below. You can see the old roof has been completely removed and the one down the bottom has been finished. I'm still in the process of removing the old elevator, but down the bottom here, the light can now creep in at level 15 just from the side here because there is going to be air access all the way down to here. So that means it'll lose its light value as it drifts down into the tunnel. And I've double triple checked this stuff. The light levels will 0 inside of the witch farm. Down here I've also fixed the redstone as well. There's a lever on top of that block. Before we had the piston facing downwards. Now it faces from the side so that it can pull the blocks back instead of pushing them up and down. And with some extra furnaces, that just stops anything from spawning on the blocks when they are not moving. And I hear the sound of witches as well. We've got some in the farm. I'm not going to turn it on yet though. Quick note, plenty of time has passed by and I am just in the process of rebuilding this using light malacca, and I've discovered something cool. You can look at an inventory block, hold down Alt, and it shows you what you have in your one and what you had in the schematic. So that lets me set up these filters again, which is very nice because every time I seem to relearn the same old lesson when it comes to setting up the item filter. Alright, top to bottom we are done. The farm has been rebuilt over in this direction a few blocks, so the spawn rates will be many times faster down there in the witch farm. It'll certainly be worth it. But there was one thing that I was thinking about, which is how I'm going to fill all of this thing with water. One of the problems with placing water from a bucket is that it's going to actually place it inside of the glass pane. Now that is the wrong type of ice. One of the solutions I thought of was to put blocks all the way down the side and then replace them with panes, and that would have created a lot of leaky water coming out the side. But I think the way to do this is just to fill it all the way up with ice and then break the blocks going all the way back down again. Good news everyone! The farm absolutely works. I've been standing here for about 10 seconds after turning it on and the witches are flying into this thing. Let's check that this thing works as well. Ah, excellent. Yes, while I'm doing some editing, I think I'm going to let this thing just run. While I'm the only person online and the rates are good, it's probably a good idea to AFK here for a bit. As you can see, I packed away all my stuff because I am ready to move on from this area. And the last thing to do is to set up a portal. So I'll take a break from being on the computer. It's always good to have an excuse to have a break and get up and move around. So some AFK time is due, but we will be moving on from this area. We'll come back here at some point in the future and decorate this though. I said I'd do that before, right? But of course it was all in the wrong area. And that is awesome. Look at them going across and falling down. Anyway, let's hop through the Nether. A little bit of a funny story to tell ya. You know, this story is probably only funny to me, but I'm going to tell you anyway, okay? I dug a really long tunnel from my own little Nether portal bit all the way out to this location, cleared out some space, built this portal, and whenever I would come out to the old portal. And it turns out that that was actually literally just blocks above where this one was. Over here. I've taken it down now, but it was always a pain in the bum to get back because I'd have to fly through the open Nether and usually get lost, and it amuses me that this entire time is literally just down here by one block. So we're moving the portal up the top here, and this actually connects to the hub that is on top of our Nether hub, the 4 different tunnels that go off in the different directions. And so one of those will eventually come off in this direction over here, and then we've got our branch over to the side. So in the future that'll make fast and easy access to the witch farm. I'd like to quickly interrupt this video just to remind you this is the last month to pledge on Patreon for the current range of merchandise. And what you're seeing on the screen are the designs for the posters that are going to replace that. These will be available next month. They are absolutely gorgeous. There are 5 different posters in total. We have Evil Asuma, Regular X, we've got Pumpkin X, Turtle X, and Yeti X. So all of the different skins that I have inhabited, and these are absolutely gorgeous. They were put together by Mixanu, who has done a fantastic job. I really do adore these posters. And like I said, they'll be available next month, so you'll probably hear back from me again in a month. But if you want the current range of merchandise, this is the last month it will be available. So my friends, we will head over to Tower Bay in just a moment. I've done a fair amount of things over there because recently I've had a very busy week. I've been going out, doing lots and eating lots of food and finding myself in a bit of a food coma at the end of the day and really not feeling like recording. So I just had some fun logging on and playing, and I'll show you what we've been up to. But I've learned a valuable lesson there. It is good to record when you're truly in the mood for it, because I had to record a tour video, which basically meant I could come on at any time and walk around the server and look at things, but I waited and waited until I was in the right mood for it, because I'm not particularly a big fan of doing something like a tour video, but doing it on the right time, I think it turned out really great last episode. I had so much fun seeing some things that I'd never really seen close up myself on the server, so I hope you enjoyed that as well. And over here, as you'll see, we've got another portal in the middle, and it's got a banner. You might have guessed this is the HRN because it's in the middle of the blue water, but notice how the banner is different on either side. That is because depending on what direction you would look at it, the colours would be arranged in a different order. So that is a fun little quirk of us putting banners onto these portals. Now if we go through, I put something temporary in the HRN and I've contacted Ren. I'm waiting for a reply. This doesn't look particularly great. If he's okay with me modifying this or going ahead with having a portal in here, what I reckon we should probably do is extend it, make it so it's bigger overall, and then cover it with the color-coded blocks on the other side. So we may just pop back here later on in the episode and do that, but for now I need to find a way out of here. The way out is actually where we were just a second ago, right? This is it. Come on. Yes, we're up. And now we can gracefully glide into the Tower Bay area. You will see something below me that is different, but right here, our line has been hooked up over to Python's quartz skyscrapers, and they have been color-coded. The colors have changed. These both used to be red, and now this smaller one is orange. That's fantastic. There's blue over here. I think there's going to end up being like a rainbow wheel of colors, which is just fantastic. And the lines were slightly modified by Python. He lowered them down and then recreated this connection bit right here, which looks fantastic. I think he did a really good job of it. And I also added some support struts to this thing. They are spaced out with 3 sections in between each one, so the spacing is really even and pleasing. Now you'll also see there's like a flat area over here and things are changing. Let's talk about the plans. So in my time just playing on the server, not recording, I've extended the rocky formation around all sides of this building here and starting to flatten this area, create a partition over there. This block palette is going to span the floor and we're going to create like a courtyard. There'll be some sort of water feature in the middle, maybe some benches and flower beds around the outside. We're going to make it look pretty. And then this path will just kind of go down to the one there and we'll build a nice little wall to tie things up. But on this side we're going to do things a little different. The rock is going to be a bit more out of control. We're going to extend it all the way over to the edge here, and then we're going to add some sort of support beams as if it's holding back the land where it went higher up. You'll also notice over here that I've chopped down a bunch of logs that were going to be for this HRN station. I realized that this thing probably just needs an entirely different look. We don't want to copy what we've been doing with these other platforms, as it's quite a different build, and these white blocks going into it look really strange when they go into oak wood, so we'll come up with something entirely different for this part. But now we are ready to work on the courtyard here. It's been expanded, so we've got plenty of space in which to operate, and I've figured out these bits around the side here. Apparently I've managed to miss this and walk past it several times as well. But anyway, this is what I've come up with for here. We've got some dark oak fences holding back the stone and some pillars of the cyan terracotta, which is featured heavily in this area. And going around this area, it looks alright. Aha, just spotted that. But over here, not so much. Because it's one block higher, I didn't include the fence posts, and so I'm actually going to go ahead and rip out each of these ones on this side. And then down the front here, this looks pretty good, but I think these beams are a little too high. They look much better when they were lower, but I wanted to convey a sense of height. Maybe we can actually do that with some more of these. Well, I didn't expect that to work, but it almost does. I'm going to let this settle. What I might do is actually just remove that and lower this all down. But we'll leave it there for a while. I'm now going to focus on this courtyard. And yes, I need to get rid of this floating bit of tree here. It is now custom tree building time. And we need some trapdoors. Now, I ain't no tree making guru like Good Times of Scar, but I'm going to give this a shot. I just had this vision of putting trapdoors around the base to make the tree feel really contained. I think we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more blocks. Will it be enough? Where do we put our leaves? I gathered loads of leaves. So far, so good. I think we need to make this free tool, then repeat that again and a couple of leaf blocks at the top. And you know what? Not so good. Not so good at all. I don't even know what I did here. No, this is not good. I am just not really getting the hang of this, am I? However, it occurs to me that that might look a little nicer. This is the same tree as I did before. No, this is not what I'm looking for. Look at this work of art right here. No, it's not really a work of art, but here's the thing. Custom tree building. What looks really good is kind of like lots of randomized blocks, and that's not really my strength, but also I am trying to build some compact trees. I really wanted these to be 3x3 in terms of its footprint, which this is right here. Now, why does this look so nice? Or at least to me it looks nice is because I started messing around with different leaf blocks. I realized that the spruce one didn't look so great, and so I moved on to trying the oak and then a chacha, and then I realized if I just mix them up together a little bit, it adds some randomization. So look at how that texture just repeats over and over again. It really reinforces the square shape of the block. But over here, you change it up a little bit, and then it looks a lot better. So these are some of my prototype trees. If we just remove the base here, you'll start to see that I have a layout going across from one side to the other. These are not a part of that layout, but that end one will be. And so these are all the trees. They're all going to have the same shape. The idea is that they're well kept after trees that are part of this garden. The garden that is mostly made of stone. So here I am placing down the foundations of our water feature and realizing, look at this, it really fills up all of this space because it is quite narrow and it doesn't make you feel like you can really walk through this area, which is not what I want. So where am I going to move this thing to? I think it'd actually be a cool idea to rip out some of these blocks and move it back into where we have this barrier. So rather than go with a traditional type of fountain, I wanted something that made monument of the towers that are in the area. And this is a good start. I think what we need to do is put water on the top there. There's actually a slab up the top, and of course we can waterlog that. Yes, so now the water coming out the top is a little bit bigger. Now when it arrives down the bottom here, I think what we actually need to do is dig this down by 1 block and then put water all the way around the bottom so this drops into that water below. There we go, that's it finished. Down the bottom here though, we have lights. There's trapdoors with sea lanterns underneath, and so the water is going to emit light when you walk past, which is nice, and I think we need a few more features in this area. It's taken me some time. It's going to take me more time as well to get to where we're going here, but after playing around with many ideas, I think I found a few key things here to put together that now I've got to arrange across this entire space. So over here on this side, we're going to have this short trim of bush. I like using the stone bricks down the bottom here as it just makes the dirt and the grass there kind of pop a little bit. Then I've used that again over on this side, but the leaf blocks are too tall, and I think what we need is a kind of garden feeling by having some high bush walls that sort of separate the path from this area. So that will kind of wall this off, and then we will have some ceiling fixtures and some lighting fixtures like this, and then maybe little pockets of grass in the ground that have some flower arrangements on. I think the position here isn't so great, but I will figure that out. And then the other thing that we really do need is actually a path that goes through here that leads you through all the different elements. So I'm kind of seeing it in my mind's eye coming together now. Let's see what I can do with these components. My friends, I think I'm about done with this for now, and the sun is setting, which is actually a good thing because this place looks kind of cool at night. So here it all is. I'll let you pick out some of the differences as I kind of point a few things out. We got different types of flowers grouped together in different places, some cobblestone walls. We've got the path coming through here. Feels so much more structured now and a lot more filled in. But obviously over on this side it's a bit more empty, and I've done something here. I've had the water run under here like this, have a little bridge. Felt kind of like a little feature like that would fit in just nice. And down here I ripped out all of those Achacha trapdoors because I thought they looked kind of ugly, and I've been meaning to replace them with this. When I first put them in there, I kind of thought that seeing the sea lanterns through them would look cool, but it doesn't really work. This thing needs to emit light but when you look at it, it needs to be a bit darker below the water. So over in this space, as you can see, I haven't really done so much, and that's because I'm thinking that the path is probably going to wrap up and around the corner and head up somewhere there, and I don't know where the next structures are, so it's probably best to leave things open a little bit. But on this side, you can see this is going to be our other entrance, and the bush placement is slightly different because of the path here, so it comes underneath this tree. And there is an Enderman over there. Hi. But yeah, there you go. That is the courtyard. And before we're done this episode, I do want to build up this building behind it a little bit. So that, my friends, is quite a big old block of building. And I haven't put any decorations on it just because I'm checking out the scale of it right now. I've got to say, from the front here, doesn't look so good. But from the other side, it looks okay because it goes taller than the trees. I think this thing needs to be lowered down by 4, maybe 5 or 6 blocks. In fact, actually, now that I get close to it, it's kind of ugly. Anyway, I don't mind chopping that all. Oh, wow. Wow, managed to fly into that. I don't mind chopping it down again in the name of progress. We're going to have a couple more of these platforms for the towers to go on around the back here. And we'll be building another tower really soon. I've got some inspiration and ideas. Maybe we'll do that in the next episode. But this is where we're wrapping this one up, peeps. I hope you've been entertained. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, leave a like. As always, thank you so much for your support on these videos. And I'll be seeing you very soon in another episode of Hermitcraft. So ciao for now. Bye-bye.